Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now, one of the aspects of firearms ownership that for some weird reason I just really enjoy, that's firearms maintenance. When it comes down to it, there are a number of supplies, there's a whole bunch of knowledge, and in many cases, some critical tools that you need for proper firearms maintenance. That's exactly what we're here to talk about today. And so here in my hands, this is the NTG500 Borescope from Teslong. Now, this is not brand new, but it's brand new. I got a good deal on this. It was basically a unit that somebody had on the shelf, had never used it. I saw it, I grabbed it, and this is really gonna help me answer some of the critical questions that I have at this point. So what is a borescope used for? Well, I have a number of things that I think this is gonna really start to prove, and I'm excited to share that with you today. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna get this out of the package. I'm gonna talk to you about this in detail, tell you about how I intend on using this, and then we're gonna get a couple of practical uses, looking at a handgun, looking at a rifle, and really seeing what we can start to diagnose about my particular firearms. And so when we get back, we're gonna get into it, but with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. If you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. And so yes, the Teslong NTG500 Borescope. Now you're gonna hear people say borescope and endoscope. This is really intended on being a borescope. And the first thing I'm going to say about Teslong, they have a number of different products and a number of different lines. So if you look at their website and you're trying to get information about these particular units, look at the borescopes. The reason why I say that, they're a little more suited to firearms. They're really closer to the appropriate diameters and calibers and the size that you need to fit in various different barrels or different, areas within firearms, but they also come with things like, for example, mirrors. Mirrors are critical for this application. So with that, let's flip the camera around and we'll get into some detail. And so as we get into this, pay attention to the details. Again, this is the NTG500 rifle borescope with a 5-inch screen. There is also an NTS model that is slightly different. The NTS more specifically geared towards like an endoscope. So the borescope's going to be critical because of some of the features in here. Now you can see this comes with a nice carrying case. Again, this was not literally brand new, even though this kit is essentially unused. So things were maybe just a little bit out of place, but generally speaking, this does have everything that's supposed to be with this kit. Which, to get things started, again, as I mentioned, the NTG USB borescope. The full kit being called the NTG500. So you get a couple of users manuals. There's definitely good information in here. A couple of different additional little pieces of equipment. Now again, I'm not 100% certain if this is the exact sort of factory packaging, but I'm pretty sure it is, and it is complete. Now, when I say a borescope, what I literally mean is a camera that goes down the bore of a firearm, and whether or not it's a rifle or a pistol or a shotgun, you can use this for a number of different sort of, I'd say, key diagnostic ideas. Like, for example, do you have fouling? Is there damage? Is there wear? Are there things that you need to pay attention to help you maintain your firearms to the highest capabilities? Or maybe repair parts that are damaged. So this is going to be critical as I maintain my firearms here on out in the future. Now you have the ability, if you look at Teslong's website, to get units that plug directly into a computer, units that can go maybe wirelessly to tablet devices or phones. But in my case, I have a standalone monitor. Now, there is a fundamental reason why I thought this would be the best for me. And again, this is the NTS 500 screen. So when you see NTS 500, this screen goes with a number of different kits. And that is, again, just a defining feature where this kit is the NTG kit, even though this is the NTS screen. But the reason why I wanted this particular screen, this records in 1080. That to me is awesome because most of my videos that you see are rendered in 1080, and that's going to be a nice high resolution, and the ability for me to leverage this monitor right here in front of me, and the ability for me to record the footage straight onto a micro SD card is absolutely fantastic. Now, beyond the borescope itself and the monitor, a few other accessories. These are the mirrors, and these can go anywhere from really 22, so I have a 22 rifle we're going to look at, all the way up to what they're saying is 40 caliber. So I actually think that for my needs, I might be able to leverage this really to even look at 12 gauge. To be honest with you, I intend on trying, and I think this is going to help me in a number of different ways, even though the diameter of the mirror is really limited by what they're saying to specific calibers. But as you take a look on the inside here, this is a little array of a number of different mirrors, and we'll take a look at these in a little more detail later on. All the different cables that you need, so a USB Type-C charging cable, and connection to the monitor or a computer, depending on what you're trying to do. So this comes with beautiful, super nice cables. These are just gorgeous, nicely threaded, nice connectors, beautifully braided cable, just very, very nice. This kit is super, super nice. Now, when you use the monitor, you do have the ability to adjust the brightness. But if you were to plug this into the computer, you do get a little bit limited, with the exception being they've even thought of that. So the computer connector has actually a little adjustment knob right on the side for the brightness of the LEDs. So that is awesome. And additionally, you have a little hardware pack. So you end up with a hex key, a couple of screws, and then this is actually a kickstand that can thread into the back of the monitor if you want to stand it up. But for me, I don't think I'm really going to stand this. What I really intend on doing is actually mounting this literally right here in front of me, because I do all my maintenance right here. And this does have the ability to thread stuff in the back. Now, another part about this is, well, you actually have a little work light. Now, I don't know that I'm going to really leverage that work light, but if I'm careful, I might be able to take advantage of this, mount it kind of on my desk in a nice clean location, and it'll give me the diagnostic tool that I need at a fingertip, but also give me a little bit of work light if I need it. Which at this point, I am going to turn this on, so a long press you can see coming on. And right away, this says no camera, but it does have everything ready to go. The reason why it says no camera, the camera is not plugged in. Now, very quick, we're going to go through some of the modes. So you can see here, you have the ability to go through all the menus, and you can also see a beautiful, nice, clear screen. So everything from changing your resolution through the date stamp on or off the screen, shutter sounds if you're, kind of running the camera. And then you can see with the menu button, I am panning between the different modes. So for me, for the most part, I will be leveraging the video camera. So you can see here, playback, still camera, and video camera. But again, for me, video camera is going to be critical. Up the top here, you have a couple of different buttons. So you end up with sort of your different light intensities and whatnot. Here you end up with actually that work light. So as I press that button, you'll see on the back, that is that work light, which you can, turn on and off. Not too bad, pretty straightforward. So again, that's that work light. On the underside here, you can see this is your USB charging port, and then the micro SD card. The micro SD card being 32 gigabytes, so that's more than enough to keep me moving. And on the top, you can see this is where you plug in the camera. Now, again, there are a couple of different cables. So sliding one aside, this cable here is the one that I need. You'll notice that it has a couple of grooves. This will actually allow you to lock it into place. On the back side of this, there's a little set screw. And if I was to pull off all these sort of labels and stuff, underneath here, there's a set screw. You can use that hex key to lock the cable into place. But I don't really need to do that just yet. I'm going to take the USB Type-C connector, set it into place here, and it has a nice click. I'll do that again so you can hear it as I get this into place. Nice click, firmly into place. That's easy. But here, the borescope itself. Now, they'll tell you do not wrap this up too tight. You really only want a couple of loops because you can damage the camera itself. It's probably fiber optics on the inside if I had to guess. Hard to say. Not really too sure. There's really only one way this connector can go. If you look, there's a little keyway, and that notches with the key. You'll notice here there is a little red dot, and as I plug this in, the camera now is coming to life on the monitor. Threading everything into place and now locking this down, I am pretty much ready to go. Now I must have pressed something because here it is recording, but the button up on top, as I press it, that stops. And just to give you the example, if I was to sort of run through the different modes, well, now I get playback. The camera now is coming to life on the monitor. Threading everything into place and now locking this down, I am pretty much... I like that. The fact that you get audio, that is great because you can actually leverage this to get in, I guess what I would say, annotation while you're filming. So if there's critical details or things that you need to note, that will work out very, very well. So I like that. That's a bonus. Didn't see that coming. Now to get things started, I noticed that I did need to get my resolution for the video back to the 1080. Recording audio, yes, that's on. Date stamp, I want off. I don't need the date stamp for this particular video, so I'm just going to turn that off. And at this point, I think I'm pretty much ready to go. So you can see that there is the date stamp on the bottom of the screen. I don't expect that I will see that in the recording itself, but we'll wait and see. And for this demonstration, we are going to use my SIG P365 XL. As you take a look, everything clear, everything nice and safe. I'm going to leave this in the open position just for this particular case so that we can see what's going on video. But you'll notice this is ready to go. Now I'm going to place this down really on the working surface here and be ready to go. Now for this demonstration, I have 654 rounds through my SIG P365 XL. I track all my shots, I record it, I write it all down, and I have tallied it. And at this point, with this particular ownership, 654 rounds have gone through this gun by me. Now, these are the mirrors. I'm gonna hold these aside for the moment, but keep in mind the fact that this is 9mm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the camera. You can see I have this ready to go. There is a little tip here. So this tip comes off. It's just a protective tip. And now you can see this is the camera. That has the LEDs right on the end. And that's going to allow this to film when I hit record. And I can also change the brightness leveraging the screen. So I'm now going to hit record on the unit itself. So this should be recording. I should hear audio. And everything should be able to sync. I'm going to take the camera and insert it right in the barrel. Now again, this has no mirrors at all, so I'm literally looking straight down the barrel. Now as I get this set into place, you can see the lands and grooves of the barrel. You're going to see different artifacts, I guess. And I think I have maybe a couple hundred rounds, maybe a little less through this, without cleaning. So this is what you're going to see with a dirty barrel. And there's some things you're going to notice right away. Now I'm going to premise this entire thing by saying I am absolutely not an expert, but I'm going to learn with this and grow, and I'm going to become more expert every time I use this. Now as I get this into the barrel and hitting the light button, this is going to change the overall intensity. So that is light off. That's the brightest mode. And then you can dim down lower and lower until it's off again. So I'm going to go with the brightest mode just for now. And we're going to start to look around. Now you can notice a distinct copper color. I believe that I have some copper that is actually depositing from, I guess what I would say, the jacket of my ammo. So 9mm ammo, various different types. And it looks like as we pan around here that there is some depositing. You'll notice some areas with some scuff marks. That might be for me because I've already put this borescope down through this just to look around and to get an understanding. But generally speaking, there is a slight coat of carbon all over this. Now, it's going to be hard for you to see it for sure, and it doesn't look like there's any real serious deposits, but there's definitely some carbon buildup going on in here. Now, as I continue to work my way down and through the barrel, as I flip this up, you can see this is now entering into the chamber. So I'm into the chamber now, and as we work forward, you can see that is going to be the striker. So working my way all the way to the striker there. So pretty cool. And the ability to look and see, and I mean, you know, if there was significant damage or wear or something to consider, I'm pretty sure I would start to get a decent understanding of this. Now, you'll notice the focus as you go in and out does sort of change. So every now and then you're going to have to find a sweet spot. The other thing that I'm going to bring up is this particular model is, of course, a cable. This is going to be a little bit different than a firm rod. Some people say they like the rod better than the cable. Like I said, I just happened across this. I saw what I felt was a good deal, and I jumped on it. So beggars can't be choosers. So in this particular case, I end up with a cable and not the rod. But of course, the camera was looking straight down the barrel, and that's where these mirrors come into play. So I want a 9mm to basically fit in the inside of my bore, but this here says 8.5mm diameter or 10. So I'm going to go with the 8.5mm, which is D. So really, I mean, and these aren't really labeled, but to me, it would be the fourth largest one, which should be right here. Now, these are mirrors. You'll notice that they're angled. And yep, this is the one I had because it's got my fingerprints on it. So I'm just going to wipe that off real quick, get a good clean start here. But these mirrors allow the camera to look basically down into the lands and grooves. Something to keep in mind, once you start threading this on, this can thread on basically in a number of, turns. So, as I spin this on more and more and more, it is going to change the focus of the camera. So there's also a little like stop nut on here, which if I'm careful, I can get the stop nut kind of jammed up against the actual mirror here and tighten this down together, which at this point, this is kind of set for at least something to try. So again, as I get this recording, you can see now hitting record, and I'm going to set this inside the barrel, which at this point you'll notice is looking straight up at the lands and grooves. Now I feel like I can do a better job with the focus, and I don't know if I need to go in or out, so it's going to just be maybe a little bit of a trial. I'm actually going to back this off and go back out for a second here. I don't know if that's any better. Backing it off again, another little spin. Might not be better. So I feel like I need to go in. So tightening this in. There we go. So yeah. Let's see if I go all the way in, if this is about perfect. Let's just try it. Yes. And you can see there, literally spot on. So at this point, I did find that at least for the 9mm, if I thread this all the way in, at this point, this picture is really, really clear. I mean, looking really good on the monitor. As you take a look at the monitor, that is just awesome. And as I spin this around, we're going to look at this in a little bit of detail. Now, your eyes can kind of be deceiving, and which area is the lands and which area is the grooves. And I think like I said, it would be real easy to get confused, but it's my understanding as I take a look at this that it's actually the lands that have the copper and the grooves that have a little bit more of what looks to be like the fouling. So you can see that copper color in the middle of the screen. And as I twist the camera, well, that looks more like carbon fouling. So again, that's something to pay attention to. So am I going to get, heavy duty, copper buildup over time? I might. That might be something that kind of gets in the way and I need to pay attention to. Does it look like it's enough to bother me right now? No, probably not. But maybe I want to clean it up, and if I can do it without being too abrasive, that would be nice. The other thing is, look at how nice and sharp and crisp the angle really between the lands and grooves is. At this point, I mean, it does not look like I have any rifling damage whatsoever. Just super nice and clean, straight lines. Looks like everything's in really good shape. I don't see any corrosion, nothing that looks like pitting, no significant scratches. So, that's what this borescope is going to allow me to look at in a way that I wouldn't ever be able to see this otherwise. And, if you take a look here at like the breech face and where everything's going to enter, into the chamber, and, this is obviously going to be like a pretty reasonable wear point actually right here. Perfect example of where you're going to have a heavy duty wear point. So that is something that over time could certainly get damaged. And now as you enter, fully into the barrel and right into all the rifling here, that is something to pay attention to. So for the 9mm, very cool. Do I need to clean this? I probably do. Something worth considering, but really, really neat. But now I've threaded on the smallest mirror. This will fit in a 22. So you will see here as I kind of slide this stuff out of the way. Well, here is my Ruger 1022. Now, keep in mind the fact that I am curious about this in terms of what's going on inside the barrel and why. Well, I shoot unjacketed lead ball, and could there be lead fouling in here? I have no way to tell, but if there was lead fouling, would that really disrupt my overall capabilities and, how tight I am with my groups? Yeah, of course it would be. So I need to take a look at this. Now, I'm going to basically get this into place. Hitting record here now on the unit. And you can see as we get this installed into the muzzle end. Now, it looks like I have the focus about right. So what I'm finding is I do need to, I guess what I would say is tighten these mirrors all the way down as tight as they will go. And that does seem to give me the optimum overall, overall picture. Now, I cleaned this barrel the other day, and I felt like I did a really good job. In fact, I did it on one of my videos, and you might have seen it. And at this point, look how clean everything looks. Really, really clean and nice. You can see the thin layer of CLP. That is one thing. I always run a real thin line of CLP. Looking at the end of the barrel, that might be lead deposits. I'm not certain, but that looks to me like that may be leading. I don't know. I'm not versed enough, but my guess is that it is. I think I'm going to find that that is lead deposits. So even if my entire rifle was perfectly clean, as the bullet's traveling down the barrel, if it was to hit the lead at the end and not come out the end clean, don't you think that might change the trajectory, change the angle, change its, momentum, the overall muzzle velocity? It might. I don't really know, but I was questioning this, and now I question it even more. And I do want to point out as I take a look here, and you might not see this, but on the end, that little sort of flower look that I saw made me think that might be lead deposits. That's what kind of got me curious. Now, keep in mind the fact that this is a 45-inch borescope. So 45 inches is a pretty good length. You can do a lot with a 45-inch borescope. Many different firearms. Now, I'm just kind of running this generally. Now, I could twist this and look in all directions. I'm not going to completely inspect this entire thing, but you can see, my cleaning job was really, really good. And this rifling is beautiful. It's literally in virtually perfect condition from what I can tell. Again, I'm not an expert, but look how nice and clean all these angles are. I don't see any, deposits. I don't see any deformation. I don't see any chunks or debris or scratches or anything to have me concerned. Now, as I continue to work my way all the way down, I'm actually going to open up my ejection port here and kind of keep an eye out for this camera. So as I work my way all the way down, everything's still looking very, very good. No problem. And I should be getting fairly close to the end here. It's kind of deceiving, but still, even if I move quickly, I can see everything in here looking really good. Oh, there you go. So this is, again, an area where if you're not careful, you might end up with some fouling. You might end up with some wear. I don't see anything that seems to be any sort of concern. I mean, this looks pretty good to me. Is there some lead buildup? Hard to say. What is this? Is that lead buildup? What is this right here? So this, to me, could just be the way it's cast, but that's a little area that I feel like I should pay attention to. I'd say it's fairly consistent, but in that one particular groove, you can see just something to consider. But as I continue to move on, you can see now entering into the chamber, and I kind of hit the wall. So really cool. I'm very, very happy with this. I mean, I'm going to learn a lot. This has me maybe going to do a little bit of research and some practice and starting to answer the questions that I know I need to answer. So all in all, this Teslong NTG500 digital borescope, absolutely phenomenal. And so again, this is just enough to be dangerous. Getting me starting to ask the questions, really kind of asking, well, what's going on inside my firearms? I love this. I love the ability to get smarter and non-destructive. I don't need to pull things apart, take things apart, try to look inside and wonder what's going on. This is literally going to show me. Now, again, a number of different models. This just happens to be the one I got. It just happens to be what works for me. But take a look at Teslong's website. Ton of different information out there. A lot of people with great advice. There's a lot of good information about this. So if you're anything like me and you want to get into this, I think you're going to learn a lot. And so, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that content. Much more to come in the future. But if you enjoyed that content, do me a favor. Take a look at my Outer Limitless channel, which is more on my primary gear. On that channel, I cover everything from hiking, camping, and backpacking excursions, all the gear that goes with it. So from sleep systems, shelter systems, knives, axes, backpacks, flashlights, you name it, that's my Outer Limitless YouTube channel. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.